If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hey, CEO Mischief Makers. If you are ready and you are willing and you are excited to have someone help you, a mentor help you, who is dedicated to seeing people succeed with his revolutionary, no bullshit approach, pardon my French, but don't pardon it, it's just true, to business growth and personal transformation, then Nick Cavuoto is your mentor. I am in his mentor mind, and I'm telling you, he will see right through your BS. From experience, he will see right through you, and he brings an energy like no other to helping you not just solve problems, but leap beyond those problems and really make massive progress and massive success. So go to nickcavuoto.com, and I'll spell it for you, nickcavuoto.com. Go there. He will help. He has the tools, the exact tools you need, if you're ready to let him see through your BS. Okay, CEO Mischief Makers, if you have not listened to our Monday Mindset conversation with Nick Cavuoto, you need to go back there and listen to that, because we're going to compound that by now talking about impact and innovation with an incredible human, Nick Cavuoto. So Nick, I'm just letting all of Monday's conversation wash over me still. And now we've got to take that and look at, all right, all those mindset shifts you outlined and how your life has transformed with really believing that you're going to win and this too shall pass and all those things. Who are you impacting? You mentioned that at the beginning. You're like, I know who I'm impacting. I know who I want to walk this earth with and help. Who is that?
The challenge of being relevant across age boundaries, which I've always been relevant across age boundaries as far as I can literally remember as a kid all the way to where I'm at today. The challenge of being relevant is that you're relevant in so many rooms that it's this constant attempt to try to figure out how to create tension and balance in both of those opportunities. So what I've done is I just removed the tension by just opening my hands and receiving. And I don't ask why, I just apply the why in my life. And I go like, I'm just going to actually show up with what's showing up. And that's a very powerful state of being. And so I think there's two formats of individuals that I impact and where my hyper focus is right now. It's funny, those of us who are in the personal development space or in entrepreneurial space, because that is personal development through a lens of a business. It's funny because a lot of times, we believe if we're coaches or consultants, we are perfectly positioned to help the previous version of ourselves. So we can look back at our story and we kind of start like sniping, like, well, I'm going to solve that part and I'm going to do it in coaching and supporting others. Then I'm going to solve that part. Then I'm going to solve that part. Then I'm going to solve that part. What's funny is we're wired to notice what's different. So in 99 things that went right, our memory goes to the trauma point or to that trigger point of like the thing that went wrong, right? Yeah. So I've solved all of the wrong things. Again, like I mentioned on Monday, 80 therapy sessions in the last year. That's not normal. But I said, I want to literally accept and experience everything I need to in each segment and story of my life in order for me to move into the next stage of what I believe is going to be greatness. Greatness, the price of greatness is responsibility. Thank you, Winston Churchill. So I took the responsibility to say, I want to solve these parts, but it's so funny. It was one of the most transformational times of my life. I shared on Monday is when I was 19 and I didn't know what to do. So my dad told me to go surf. And that was one of those moments that was really hard because I had perceived value in the moment, minutes and moments of going like, yeah, well, I guess if I don't have any value, I'll go help people. And what actually happened was that simple invitation, the openness to receive it. I went and did 7 years of what I contributed as like at that time of my life was my greatest work. It was the best thing I could have done. So I've always overlooked that story because it was the one story that worked where I didn't have to. And I got to show up powerfully and just be uniquely who I was. I was given high permission, high responsibility, and I had people who believed in me. And so there's been an interesting shift in my world that I'm really starting to lean into now. And I can say this pretty generally of, when I was, getting my podcast together, which I'm hoping will launch here very soon. It's called Mentoring Millions. And in the process of doing that, I wrote a quick excerpt, which was Mentoring Millions, like a podcast leading the next generation of leaders. Because I believe that influencers are leaders with no responsibility. So I want to flip that lens, and instead of having the next generation of leaders, whether they're college kids who are athletes who get in their gap year and they're like, I had a kid call me last week and go like, is this it? I'm working at a hole in the wall burrito place from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. every day. And I was a Division II athlete. I was highly successful. I worked my butt off. I took everything in my soul to graduate college. And is this it, dude? With $150,000 in student debt? I'm like, no, that's not. And I realized something clicked for me of this next generation, specifically of young adult men who it's easy. Athletes and entrepreneurs are so similar. So I lean into that. And then people go, oh, well, if you work with athletes, can you work with entrepreneurs musicians and make them entrepreneurs? Or, like people who fell out of college, but have a lot of grit, can you make them an entrepreneurs? So I isolate it to like this next season, I'm definitely doubling down on taking athletes who are coming out of university who want to be entrepreneurs. There is no track. And the other thing that I learned was they are not only overlooked, they are underserved completely. There's no one raising their hand going like, I want to give meaning and responsibility to college students because they're seemingly very entitled and all this stuff, Gen Z, next generation, that someone raising their hand saying, I want to actually champion that tribe. And I'm like, give me the damn torch. In fact, no one's grabbing it. And that's a natural state of being for me. I'll stay in a situation long enough and go like, is anybody else going to get command here? And if they don't, I'll take it and run. Yeah. And that's what I'm noticing is our next generation of leaders are without meaning. And they're without meaning because they have no responsibility, because the blueprint says, go be an influencer and, show off your sweet cars and go to Coachella and, the freaking, go to Cancun and Cabo and, yeah, it's like, what is the freaking point? And they have, a lot of them don't have mentors. They want mentors. A lot of them don't have father figures, at least half by statistics. And they want someone who's going to invest into them. And they are literally, you talk about a thirsty crowd, a starving crowd. I'm like, this crowd, if we don't solve this now, look at what our leadership is in this nation right now. If we don't solve it now, we're going to continue to have these perpetuating cycles of failure. So that's the unique part of where I'm investing my time. And here's the crazy thing. And I've always done this. It's especially been happening over the last several years. People who are in their golden years of life, they want to contribute, but it's like this chasm of like parent-child. So I like am in the perfect position of the oldest sibling, but also the most caring but oldest brother. So I kind of crossed the chasm of taking a guy who's been wildly successful, who's 82, and bringing him through relationship with me to an audience of 24-year-olds who will listen to him and who will literally absorb every word because I was the conduit. So I'm providing meaning to those in their golden years who have lacked the ability to invest in the people that they want to truly invest into, where they see all these beautiful life lessons and opportunities, where the tendency of a 22-year-old is to go to the flashy 30-year-old with the Ferrari. I'm like, no, you need to listen to Yoda and shut your damn mouth and sit down with me here, and we're going to learn together. And we're going to experience something great. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my
Wow.
honest truth of where
Okay,
I'm at.
because that, and I got to be honest with you. So here's the thing: that 82-year-old probably was really busy when his kids were growing up, and now he's got grandkids, and he's kind of one removed. But he's acquired all of this knowledge and this wisdom, hopefully, if he's worked on himself, right, and worked on the
Totally.
crap, right, and worked on all the crap that we've got, and now he can actually impart that to people who may not have all of the personal issues with him, like his own kids might have, right, when he was raising them. This is just the cycle of life. This is the way it works. And that is amazing. So how are you, let's take that athlete. How are you, what type of, let's say, framework are you trying to give this individual that's working at the taco place from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. and what kind of framework are you trying to help him implement in his life that you are innovating? And that's how I look at innovation. We're humans. We've been around on this planet for a very long time. Nothing's really new. So how are you taking that standard framework that we all have to look at and innovating it so that he can build his own life that is unique?
Yeah, so there's basically 3 steps to it. And I've observed this. I learned through osmosis. So being around David Meltzer has given me proximity to certain things that I can look at, simplify, and readapt in my world, and then make them incredibly efficient. So like I'm more of like not a thinker on that side, more of a feeler. Like I like to be in the thick of it, and then I could recreate it and apply the strategies. And he's my mentor too. So he's like, you're going to do this anyway, basically, on some of these modalities of how he structures his coaching and stuff. But one of the things that I think was really unique that I learned from David that I'm applying in the business is this internship-based model. I called up my cousin who's 23, and I called him out. I was like, yo, I'm thinking about doing this intern program for, you were a college athlete. You're in your gap year type of thing, figuring out what's next. I said, if I could create an opportunity for you to come to Nashville and live here for 6 months to be an intern and work with me, go with me places, experience would you do it? He said, I will literally buy a plane ticket today. So that's where I said, whoa, starving crowd, right? So I tested it internally with yes, I've reflected on my own story and I said, this is huge. I was given permission and responsibility. So how can I, number one, give permission and responsibility to this next generation? Let me test the thirst and the hunger. It was Mach 1,000. It was very apparent. He calls me back the next day and he said, I talked to 4 of my friends, we'll all do it. So now I have 520 somethings who are like, we'll all move to Nashville. We'll bunk together. We'll sleep on air mattresses. That's how bad they want leadership. That's how bad they want it. That's how desolate, and how literally there is this moment of just incredible desire to be the best version of themselves, but to make a contribution that matters. And they know that there's a way to do it. The first thing is focusing on how do I increase their level of responsibility, but create an opportunity for them that is pretty much irresistible. That also solves a problem very practically in my business because I don't operate at a heavy overhead anymore. I keep things super, super clean because I know that my time is the most profitable thing I'll do. I already know that in the next 3 to 5 years, I'll generate $10 million a year in cash flow. It's like the promise. I already know it's there, so I don't worry about it. I'm like, all the steps are in place to do it. All the capital's there, all the things in order to generate. It's actually very simple. Once, again, you get to the dark side and you know it's where it's not simple. But in this point of transition, the second step outside of responsibility and giving them deeper meaning through the internship, is then giving them an opportunity to work with me. And so if they really crush their internship and do a great job, I told them straight up, I said, your goal, your job will be to make 100 calls a day for 6 months. That is because if you can sell, I can make you an entrepreneur instantly. Most people don't want to do the work. Your goal is going to be to learn how to talk to people. And I'm going to coach you through the process, and you're going to bunk with your friends. And you guys are literally, if there's 500 calls a day being made, how many speaking engagements will I have next year? Just think about it that way, right? At the same time, they get to go and experience it. They do it for 6 months. And then stage 2 is, if it worked really well, then I'll create an opportunity for you to work with me in an actual working capacity. So I'm creating these slayers, and people are really focused on people mastery and getting them to understand how to welcome people into big ideas. Because that's what happened to me. I was in ministry. It was, how do we point people who are on a pursuit of spiritual awareness, how do we point them back to something that's ethereal that they can't see or touch or experience, really, except for some physiological shift that happens in their body. So I want to be able to teach them how to sell the intangible. Now, when they can do that successfully and sell an experience, then we go to the third stage. They do that successfully and well, based on milestones and based on what they want to accomplish. I want them to hit 6 figures working with me. Then I'm going to say, now, if you're ready, and there's a 2-year max on this, by the way, but if you're ready, then I'm going to invite you into this incubator of where I'll invest my money into your company. You build your big idea in the last 6 months of our working. So it's 6 months, 1 year, 6 months. You build your big idea, you launch your big idea. It's like a venture capital type of incubator. And I'm literally going to create thousands of entrepreneurs, thousands that are all going to roll through this program. But what they're going to learn are the 5 daily principles that David's taught me. They're going to learn the values that are more centralized in truth, honesty, integrity, because when they raise the vibration, the words don't matter, the energy matters. And I think that I'll prove the concept around energetics within business through teaching values versus just teaching hard skills. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be an absolute army of slayers who are up to something, doing something great, who I know in 10, 20, or 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 50, 100 years, they're going to be the people leading the biggest movements on earth. I mean, that's the goal.
That is an incredible goal. And to take, and then if you think about it, it's 2 years out of their life and they're 22, right? So it basically taking those 2 years of focused intent and perseverance and growth and setting them up to continue that on their own with your help, with the help of other investors and people. And then I'm sure, of course, this is the way it works. They will pay it forward to the next generation after them.
Absolutely.
They will become the next leaders who are going to be the 82-year-old helping the next 22-year-old. That's incredible, Nick. That is so amazing. All right. We got to stop it here because we got to get into strategy and tactics and
let's do it.
Let Friday go. So we'll be right back, guys. Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.